Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your favorite casual basketball fan, Skinny Hardaway. The NBA recently changed the draft lottery system and some season rules that could affect certain teams and players. The NBA draft lottery is set up to now where the three worst teams record-wise all have an equal chance of receiving the first overall pick at 14%, where previously the worst team in the NBA had a 25% chance to win the first overall pick, and with that luxury they could pick no worse than 4th overall. Now the odds go from the bottom three teams where they share a 14% chance at number one, and then it gradually declines from there. And then to go over the overview of the resting rule, Adam Silver will now be able to find teams for resting players on nationally televised games where the team with the most appeal sits out their star player or players on road games. So if the Warriors want to rest someone like Steph Curry, they can't unless it's a Warriors home game. And just my quick thoughts on this. I don't really care for the draft reform personally. I think this was more of a direct response to the Philadelphia 76ers trusting the process, and stocking up on draft picks, which I had no problem with. If you know your team isn't equipped to compete, then go ahead and look forward to the draft. No need to add insult to injury by forcing teams to make an effort to win games if they know they'll be lottery bound before the season starts. I mean, that just makes sense to me at least. Then to the resting players rule, maybe I'm looking at this too narrow, but I think this is a direct counter to the San Antonio Spurs and obviously the biggest name in the NBA, LeBron James. Coach Greg Popovich has been doing this as far as I can remember, 2013-ish maybe, possibly even before that, but he was doing it to manage Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili's minutes by not having them play against teams that probably weren't going to challenge them that night. And as the past couple of seasons, we've seen LeBron sit out games due to resting reasons, and he's getting older, but one thing about him is he knows how to take care of his body. This man is pushing 34 at the end of the year, but it doesn't look like he's slowing down at all. I personally think if anyone deserves the rest no matter the circumstances, he's definitely the guy that I would pick. Overall, I don't really mind the rule because I see where Adam Silver and the board of trustees are coming from, but there will be loopholes that people will find out, and this rule won't have the impact that some think it might have. And in other news, the NBA will also be changing the procedure on how the All-Star game will happen. The new format will not feature the Eastern Conference versus the Western Conference format, which they had going for 66 years. The NBA has adopted the format where there will be two captains, and those captains will select from a pool of available players to fill in as the All-Star starters. The captains will be selected based on the highest vote getter from each conference. And to hear from the horse's mouth itself, to get more in-depth details on it, I'll just read a quote from NBA.com on how it will work. The process for selecting the 24 All-Stars will remain the same, with 12 players from each conference earning spots. The 10 starters, 2 guards, and 3 frontcourt players per conference will continue to be chosen by a combination of fans, 50% of the vote, current players, 25%, and basketball media, another 25%. The NBA head coaches will select the 14 reserves, voting for 2 guards, 3 frontcourt players, and 2 players at any position of their respective conference. Specific details about the draft will be announced at a later date. So if you're familiar with playing pickup games at your local YMCA or on the blacktop, you know how this works, and I think the only other major sports league in America that does that is NHL, where players select their all-star teams too, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong though. I kind of like this format right here. If we're going to be honest with ourselves, the NBA had to do this sooner than later due to the East severely lacking the talent the West has, especially after this wild offseason where we see Paul George, Jimmy Butler, Carmelo Anthony, and Paul Millsap all end up in the Western Conference after representing the Eastern All-Stars last year. And when I first heard it, I thought, uh-oh, here we go, players are going to be picking their friends and teammates. But now that I know the players will only pick the starters or 4 players for each captain, I felt more comfortable since the coaches will select the rest of the players. Everyone has been speculating that the captains will be LeBron James and Steph Curry, which makes sense because they were the highest vote getters in last year's All-Star game. And I hope that Steph doesn't get to sign to be a captain because I've always wanted to see how LeBron and Steph will play together. I think they'd be in contention for the greatest duo of all time, up there with Shaq and Kobe and Jordan and Pippen. I mean, I doubt it, but ain't nothing wrong with dreaming, right? This could make for some awkward situations though too. Let's say that Kevin Durant is the second captain and Steph Curry is already off the board. The tension in the room will probably be cut with a knife as the anticipation of whether he select Russell Westbrook or not. And then another situation is LeBron having to select a guard, and he conveniently skips over Kyrie Irving and selects someone like Kyle Lowry instead. And that will make so many sports headlines the following day, and we'll have to hear talking heads such as Skip Bayless remind us that
who hit the shot to win the Game 7 of the series. It was Kyrie Irving, who is the clutch shooter on that team. It's not LeBron James, who has always struggled in the clutch consistently throughout his career.
Or Stephen A. scream how
so blasphemous! Blasphemous!
it was on LeBron's part for them not selecting his former teammate. I don't think those situations will happen, since a lot of these players are very good friends off the court, so it's all for fun, and we as fans like to look into things that aren't really there. But I do like that Chris Paul pushed for this as a new president of the Players Association. He knew the ensuing blowout that would happen if they kept it as an East versus West format. If you want to mark your calendars now, All-Star voting will open on Christmas Day 2017. Starters and captains will be announced on January 18th and reserves on January 23rd, 2018. The game will be played for a local Los Angeles charity or a national organization of their choice. The 67th annual NBA All-Star Game will be held in Los Angeles at the Staples Center on February 18th, 2018. That's it for me, everyone. Thank you all for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the thumbs up and click that subscribe button and the bell for notifications on my channel. This is Skinny Hardaway signing out.